Thomas, it's up for grabs now. Thomas.
Magic ball from Bergkamp to Patrick Vieira.
Oh, would you believe it? Oh, right, what a way to get it.
Fabulous solo goal by Thierry Henry.
Champions.
Good afternoon, or should I say good evening. It's been a long while since that intro actually was relevant. We are actually on a show today with two back-to-back wins. So it's feeling very Christmassy. So let's just crack on with it. Everyone's smiling. Even Turkish is smiling down there. I can't believe it. Look at him. So let's just crack on with it. Hello to everyone in the chats. Hi, Lee. How you doing, mate? You all right? How you feeling?
Yeah, all good, thanks. Yeah, feel a bit better now. Ain't been too well, but yeah, feel good. And Arsenal winning a couple of games, well, that certainly gets your juices flowing, as they say. I'm well pleased. Yeah. Well pleased. Didn't see it coming,
Inject
but
that in your vein. Yeah.
Inject it. You know what I mean? So we've had Turkish winning 200 quid. We've had
what?
Arsenal winning some games.
About?
Wonders never cease.
Well, minute lockdown's over. Rounds on Turkish. How you doing, Turkish?
I'm good.
Yeah,
I'm good.
Right, I know it is.
Yeah. Listen, the round can be on me, but the winning is going to charity. So yeah, that's what I'm doing.
Oh, that old chestnut. The winnings are going to charity.
We'll say that, don't we?
I'm a man of my word. You're going to see the update tonight on which charities I pick, and it's
charity begins in the home. That's what he tells you next, isn't it? How you doing? How you doing, Shaheen? You good?
Yeah, man, I'm good. I don't know what this £200 is about or what happened. I feel like I missed something here, but
big time.
Yeah.
Don't worry, Shaheen. You wouldn't have won the 200 quid anyway, so don't worry about it.
Probably not. But yeah, no, it's good. It's good to be back. Obviously, some good results, good points. It's funny how 6 points makes a huge difference for everybody. Everybody feels a little bit less agitated, should we say?
Agitated. I love that word. You know what? Imagine if we were feeling the pressure, what it was like for Arteta in the camp. So let's just crack on with it. I mean, it seems to me he stumbled a little bit on this solution at the moment, if you can call it that. It's a bit too early to call it that, but we've all been crying out for some change, some young blood in there, some fresh ideas. And it seems that the injuries and whatever else has conspired has forced Arteta into playing these youngsters. I mean, he's been using Saka, we know that, but now he's gone with Smith Rowe in that cam. He's brought in a few other lads in there. Gabriel Martinelli's back, and he's given us a lot going the other way. So, guys, I mean, you've seen what's happened. Introduction of Mari, which was quietly impressive for me. He's changed things around. It's worked for us the last two games. Is this something moving forward, or is it just a stopgap? I'll start this off with Turkish. I mean, what do you think's going on with Arteta at the moment? Do you think this is going to be changing his mind moving forward, using these youngsters, or do you think he's just using this for now? What's your thoughts on it?
People rightly say it fell into his lap as well, considering Willie and the protocol with COVID and whatnot. And I think Emil Smith-Rowe is a big piece of what's occurred over the last couple of games. As much as Martinelli coming back has been massive too, I think Emil Smith-Rowe has been equally as big in the middle, because we lack everything he brings. And even if it did fall in Arteta's lap, hopefully he learns from it. We forget that he's a manager that's still learning. He's only a year or so into his role, so he needs to learn of things like this. And what he's seen from the attacking players, the trio of youngsters we've got there, is they're going to play for him. They're going to play for us. They're going to play for the badge. They're motivated. They're hungry. They're passionate, and that's the least I expect out of our players. The people that put on the Arsenal badge, the Arsenal shirt, that's the least I expect. But even that's been missing for so long, more so now than any other season. We seem like we have so few players that really care about us fans and in turn the club, because you've got to care about us fans to care about the club too. If you don't care about the club, you're not going to care about the fans. If you don't care about the fans, you're not going to care about the club. They come hand in hand. And as much as we've won a couple of games, I do want to get into Xhaka's comments later where the conversation might go left a bit. But I think regarding the trio, the youth, I think Arteta must learn and remain remain with them as much as he can. He's got to protect them too, rightly so, but he's got to show a bit more faith in them moving forward.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, a lot of people have been talking about Saka and, and rightly so. But I think Emil Smith-Rowe's gone under a radar a little bit because he is the one that's connecting from, the time we transition from defend to attack. He seems to be able to connect things. There's things happening around the strikers now that wasn't. Lee, you've seen what's been going on. What are your thoughts on it? I mean, yeah, go on.
Sorry, before you just go into Lee, there's just 2 comments I just want to read out. One of them is a very kind super chat from Klapov. He says, two 19-year-old kids and a 20-year-old are dragging the club to save it from being on the bottom. These kids need to be protected. So that's what his view. And thank you very much for your lovely donation. The other one, it's quite interesting one. I'd like to read out. I woke up with my ex one day before Christmas. Turkish really helped me through it, man. Thank you. Big up to the original Lee, original guy Lee, best guy in FTV, along with Graham and Turkish.
Well, that's tough. Breaking up with your missus.
Go Turkish, man. I'm proud of you, brother.
He probably tuned into on Christmas Day. I done a couple shows on my channel, so he probably tuned into them and helped it take his mind off it. Don't worry about that ghost, man. Women and men, they come and go, and at the end of the day, you just gotta make
when the show finished, I give you a call. There's a few things
that brings us on nicely onto our next segment, which will be starting next week. It will be called Dear Turkish, where you can write in. He's a new agony aunt. You can write in whether you split up with your missus, whether your team's not performing at the moment, or you're just not performing. Whatever the issue is, please write in. Dear Turkish is coming soon. On a podcast near you. So Lee, thanks for that, Shaheen. Lee, you've heard what we've had to say. I mean, a few of the comments in there, rightly so, are saying these youngsters do need protecting, but at the same time, some really badly needed energy and spark has been injected into this team. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, my first thought is I hope that he's got a receipt for his present that he got a lot, you know what I mean? Because he needs to get his money back on that too, you know what I mean?
Oh man, I thought we moved on from this, but clearly not. Let's just carry on.
I'm worried about that. I don't want him paying
Maybe
out
we should
for a
ask
present.
some questions.
We'll make sure that he gets his receipt back, we don't want him. We don't want to not only dumping him, but also like getting his present. I think that's taking it too far, So good luck with that, anyway. Getting back to the football. I think much energy. What I think that's happened, I think that with Smith-Rowe coming into that position, it's just give us options. It's meant that the forwards are not so detached from the midfield. So there's that option to go through Smith-Rowe, which then obviously gets the players a little bit more connected up front. I also believe that bringing in Martinelli, it's just endeavour and his work rate and pace that he goes down has been a big thing. And what I like about all of those players, particularly those two and Saka, because what's also happened in this position, because of the change of system, it's meant that Saka's got into a different position as in the three behind. All three of those guys, their first thought is to go forward. Their first thing is to push forward, whether it be with a pass or a run. And we see that not so much in the first half yesterday. I thought it was probably a little bit disappointing in the first half, but in the second half, first you could see the intent straight away for the Aubameyang chance, which their goalkeeper, I don't know how he saved it, but done well to save it. As soon as Martinelli got the ball, we drove forward 10, 15 yards. Then there was the run from Saka, and then the pass into Aubameyang, and then there was obviously like Smith-Rowe was getting forward, which we haven't had for a very, very long while. Smith-Rowe was getting beyond the forward as well, going parts over. Ball was dropping in, he was dropping, going forward. All of a sudden, there was movement and pace between those lines, which we've not had for weeks and weeks and weeks. And it's no coincidence because of that. All of a sudden, we started to pick up results. Now, Smith-Rowe, I thought was outstanding in the second half yesterday. Not just his endeavour and his way of playing, his work rate as well, getting back into positions and all that, So I think that these young boys have really set a tone, and they've also shown up our senior players, shown them up through their work rate, and I think that it's a good thing. Sometimes as a manager, you need to be a little bit fortunate, sometimes it's, can be a goal or a game that gets you through there. And I think with Mikel Arteta, I said it a few weeks ago, sometimes you just need that little bit of luck, maybe somebody just being out and bringing in somebody. And I think by him bringing in Smith Rowe in that position, I think has turned it around a little bit more for him, and whether you can say it's fortunate or whatever, so be it. Sometimes you have to have that little bit of luck as a manager, and he's got that. And I think that the team looks a lot better balanced because of it. And listen, guys, I never see us beating Chelsea. I never see where that was coming from. I didn't think that we would beat Chelsea. The most important thing is that once we beat Chelsea was what we was going to do in the next game. And I felt that was the most important thing yesterday, was to see where we were, to see where we was going to be. And we backed it up. And I think that is the key for me, is that we backed it up. We didn't play well first half, but we kept into it. As you said earlier on, Lev, Mari coming in there has been like, all of a sudden we've got two defenders that main priority is to defend. Gabriel hasn't been there for the last couple of games, but when he comes back, he wins headers, wins tackles, wins challenges, and also so does Mari, instead of the other way around where they don't win headers, they don't win tackles, but they're good on the ball. All of a sudden now we've got players that's first intention, and what I think that we've sadly lacked is a couple of players that like to defend, and it's bloody lovely. They like to defend, and there's nothing wrong with that, nothing to be ashamed of about that. They want to defend, and they want to keep clean sheets, and I think that was a thing for me yesterday. As much as Brighton had the ball quite a bit, I didn't feel like that they were peppering our goal and looked like they was going to score. So that for me is the pluses from those two games.
No, absolutely. I mean, there's a couple of players that are rightfully sort of, being given a lot of the credit. And as we said, Saka is one of them. But I do think, Mari has gone under the radar a little bit, and so has Smith Rowe. And we mentioned, that Arteta might have stumbled on this, fortunately, or had his hand forced. But then there is the other thing of looking at it, is he's had a hell of a lot of bad luck in the last few months. Let's be honest. There's been, he's bought players, they've got injured, people getting sent off. It looked like a few of the games we were coming back into the game, and then silly individual errors. So it's about time he's had some good luck. Shaheen, you've heard what the guys have said so far. Yeah. I mean, it's all positive. I'm not saying it's we found the solution. But what's your thoughts moving forward? Do these kids need to be protected? Do we have to go out in January and find some people to come in and a bit more senior, not put too much pressure on them? Or do you think that we should be playing these guys and this is the way forward?
Look, obviously, the guys, they everything that they said is right. And we have stumbled across this by, because Willian wasn't available and David Luiz has his issues, but to be honest with you, I think the difference that I've seen now from previous games is that there seems to be some partnerships all over the pitch now. Because before Willian was playing and there wasn't seem to be any partnership or any understanding between Bellerin behind it or the midfields, whereas now Saka is playing right mid, and there seems to be some sort of partnerships being developed all over the pitch. Smith Rowe as well, since he's come in, he's done well. Obviously, look, the team was so desperate for creativity that even a little bit of creativity that comes in will stand out. This is the way. The guys who are doing well in there, I think they need to keep their place and carry on, because they've been doing well. There's no need to change things now and bring Willian back. I don't think Willian is going to do any better than these guys. There seems to be some energy, drive, this willingness to do well that we didn't have before. And I think it's these little things that have come in that is starting to make a difference. And you know what? I've seen some people say as well, with regards to the Brighton game, it didn't really matter what sort of performance we put in, as long as we got that 3 points, because I don't know if people who played for football teams in leagues, whether it's Sunday league or a more high up league. When your team goes through a bad patch, you're not going to turn it around in one game with an excellent performance, and you're going to perform week in, week out in a high level going forward. It will be gradually. So you get a win against Chelsea. Next game, it was okay. We got the 3 points, and it will slowly build up, and it will go forward from there. The only thing from yesterday, look, as you said, he's got players that are coming back. Partey is going to come back, which more or less is going to be a January signing now, Thomas Partey. And he's got, they hopefully will do well. Which I know you're going to talk about. But yeah, look, it's all positive. It's not great, but it's a step in the right direction.
Okay. Well, look, I mean, I hope we don't start hearing the usual that comes out of Arsenal when we've had a player or two injured. We get to that transfer window. Oh, it's like a new signing, so it's an excuse not to make any signings. We still need to make these signings. I mean, there's a couple of things I have noticed. We don't really have a natural replacement for someone like Partey that's good enough, that I rate as good enough. When I saw Basuma yesterday, impressed me immensely. He was everywhere. So there is an argument we could maybe get rid of the likes of your Xhakas and El Neni or one of them and replace them with someone more, a bit better, like a Basuma, and then go in with an attacking type midfielder? Or would you go in, this is going to Turkish, would you go in January looking to get 2 attacking midfielders? What would you do right now based on what you've been seeing?
You can't do what I'd want to do right now, but
no, go on, tell us. What would you do?
You can't do what I want to do. You can't. You literally, there's no point in talking about it because you can't do it. Because out of a 25-man squad, I probably keep 8-9 players. You can't do what I'd want to do. But this January, if they mean business, then at least 2 midfielders, one attacking and one maybe central midfield, someone that can partner Partey.
Okay.
Because we're missing everything. We're not only missing a replacement for Partey, we're missing a partner for Partey. We're missing the one in front of Partey. So ideally for me, Basuma at Brighton and Buendia at Norwich, they're both realistic, they're both attainable, they're both at a good price. We can get both done. Do it. That's the bare minimum. That's not even me asking for much, in my opinion. I think 2 players is the bare minimum, considering where we are, considering what they've told us. The extra promises they've made, the be patient after the be excited. Mm-hmm. I think if you want patience, then you need to start giving us something to be patient about. Not just words, actions. And it's always words, no action. So January, bare minimum for me is, if they mean business, 2 players. But what do I expect? I expect 1. And the reality is 1 is a bit of the same old. And 1 is, they're not ambitious. 1 is, they're not ready to really fix the problems at the club. And on the flip side of it, I also expect 2 players out, minimum 2 players out, if not 4, but it should be minimum 2. So 2 out, 2 in is my minimum for January.
2 players that will receive fee for, or no, just out?
I don't care. Fee, no fee, free transfer. Yeah, I don't care what it is anymore. Just get 2 of these players out, minimum 4 ideally. Just do what you have to do, because some of them are going off free in 6 months anyway. Cut ties with them now. What's the point?
Okay, so who's going? Lee, you've heard what Turkish saying. Who's going for you, and who's coming in? I mean, I don't want us to have that typical Arsenal loan signing, Isco or Eriksen, just to fill the gaps. I don't want that. What do you think we're going to be doing? Do you think they're going to be serious in January? And who do you think's going?
Well, ultimately, you'd like them to be serious, but I think that maybe with the way that things are, it's going to be difficult to get those signs. If we can get them a couple of permanent signs, I totally agree with what Turkey's saying. 2 midfield players we need. Whether we can get those midfield players at this moment in time is going to be difficult. I would say someone like Awar and the fella from Norwich, we might have to say, look, we'll get you now, but we can't get them to the summer. Because it's going to be something like Norwich are desperate to get back up in the Premier League. If they was to lose their most creative player, it might be a little bit tough for them. But for me, if they can't do it that way, say to him, look, we'll have him, and you perhaps can have Eddie or someone like that on loan or something. So they might have to do that. We have to do a little bit of wheeling and dealing. But so if they can't get those sort of guys in, I wouldn't be against bringing in someone like Isco for 6 months just to get us through, or somebody like that. But because whether it be for 6 months or 6 weeks, we bloody need someone in there that can do that. Because at the moment we're relying on Smith Rowe, who's 20 years of age, who has just come back from another long-term injury. So you don't. He could break down next week, and then we're in trouble. So I don't think that we want to have him backing up somebody else as well. So I think it's important that we get somebody. I agree with Turkish. Get players out as well. I don't want to see Mustafi there. I don't want to see the guys like Mesut Ozil and Socrates that not in the squad. That's nothing against them. I just feel that we need to get them out the door as well. And I feel that maybe, whether you're going to like this or not, that I do think that the club's going to try and cash in on somebody, and I think that could be Maitland-Niles, because he is worth money. He doesn't seem to be getting the game time under Arteta, which I can't understand why. So if you're not going to get him playing on a regular basis, then you can get 20, 30 million for him. I think that Arsenal do that, and it comes to it that we're realistically, out of all the players at this moment in time, he's probably the only one that's going to be worth any sort of money for us. Bellerin may be one to look at next season, I think, maybe, but I can't see him going there. We've got also to think about players like that are coming back from injuries. I think like Chambers is another one that need to get out on loan, along with a couple of others. Obviously Saliba will be another one that will go out on loan. So if we're going to get these players going out and getting loan deals and whatever, we're going to have to bring somebody in on that central defence as well. Because if you lose Mustafi, Chambers, and Saliba, we're gonna leave ourselves a little bit short. So we need to bring in somebody there if we're going to do that. It'd be very, very interesting what we're going to do in this transfer window, because let's not get away from the facts that we're a million. We've won our last couple of games. We're still a million miles from where we expected to be and where we should be. This moment in time, we should be challenging for the top four. Now, this is my theory on this. Is if the club show a little bit of ambition in the transfer window, we're only 6 points off of the Chelseas and Spurses at this moment in time. Yeah. So if we were to bring in a couple of players, you only have to look at what Manchester United done last year. That they was in about the same sort of position as us, out of everything, out of it, and all of a sudden brought in Bruno Fernandes, and they turned it around and got themselves into the top four. So it's something that Arsenal need to do, and whether they will do it or not, I'm still not convinced they will. And if they don't, then we're a couple of performances away from being back to where we were again. So this is a time for the club to have a look at it and go, do you know what we're doing? We ain't doing as bad as what we probably thought we were a couple of weeks ago. Let's push on now and make sure that we get these signings. We didn't do enough in the summer window. If I'll be honest, we didn't do enough. We didn't back our manager the way we should have done. By bringing in a bit of creativity in the midfield. We've brought that in with Smith Rowe. Now Smith Rowe's a 20-year-old rookie, and it showed you how more improved we've been. If we had a world-class player in there, look where we could be even better. So I don't think we should be sticking on our laurels and saying, oh, yeah, we're happy here. But I do feel that we need to get some players out before we can bring some in.
Agreed. So, Shaheen, you heard what Lee and Turkish have been saying. I don't want to sort of labour it too much, but there's a couple of things I want to throw at you as well with this transfer situation, because we've been hearing talks of Bellerin perhaps going to Barcelona. The craziest double I've heard to Barcelona, Mustafi and Bellerin. Can you imagine that happening in January? Would you let Bellerin go in January, Shaheen, and you guys as well? Would you let Bellerin go in January? If Lamptey's not available, would you do it? Would you risk letting Bellerin go and maybe utilize Emil Smith, not Emil Smith, Ainsley Maitland-Niles in that role, right? And maybe use that money more centrally, or would you want a direct replacement for someone like that? And obviously, do you think there is going to be people going out in January?
Look, I think Turkish. I agree with Turkish on this one. I think that as much as it's important to get people to come in, it's also important to get people out, because of the squad numbers, the registration numbers, and so on, so. The problem that we have with some of these players is that they can now start negotiating with other clubs for free. So it's going to be difficult for anyone to pay fee for them, like Mustafi, Ozil, Luis, Socrates. So some of these may need to be bought out. Bellerin, he can go today, no problem with that. He's been at Arsenal far too long, hasn't really done anything. I'll go for Max Aarons personally to replace him. I think Lee got a great shot as well, Maitland-Niles, because he hasn't really used him. And I think if a Wolverhampton team comes in again, we'll probably another 20.
Would you let him go? Do you want him to go, or would you use Maitland-Niles?
Well, look, it's not
why,
really.
Why is he not using him?
No, look, first of all, it's not really up to me to say go on, but he's got a player that he's not really using, right? Maitland-Niles hasn't really been used in, you can't say he's been part of the team. He's been a squad player, and if they need money to get another couple of players, then you have to, look, we've got a lot of players that are worth nothing. There's a few players that you can possibly get money for. And him he's one of them. You're not going to get any money for Mustafi, Ozil, Socrates, Luis, Lacazette. Probably not great amount of money because he's got probably about a year and a half left on his contract. But what I want to see from these guys, for once, I want them to go out and buy proper players who would come in like a Bruno Fernandes type, who would come in straight away, hit the ground running, make a difference. Act like a big club. We are a big club. Go out there and get a Osimhen type player to come in. And so, look, for the past 2 games, it's clear for everybody to see that we need a creative player just behind the strikers in that front three. And look how much of a difference that makes. So it's clear now for them to go out and get these players that we need, and quality players to come in. Not rejects of other clubs like Isco or fucking Diego Costa. Players like that, where it's another William type, players who are not getting a contract in their clubs, and everybody is like, we don't know, and we're going, oh yeah, we'll have you come in, we'll give you a contract, we'll give you. No, man, go out there, spend the money that you claim we're going to spend. Everybody, all the noise at Arsenal now is we're going to back this guy in January. So go out there, buy the players that we need to buy, bring them in. Look, first half of the season is done, finished. We flopped. At least the second half of the season, you're going to get Thomas Partey back, build a strong midfield, bring a creative player, and let's see how high up the table we can finish.
Boy, so basically, we don't know what's going on, is what everyone's saying. That's the truth of it. But there's going to be some coming in. You reckon?
The problem is, and I'm sure Turkish will back me on this. We've been told so many times, so many things about Arsenal that it has never materialized. That everybody is now like, yeah, we've been here with you guys saying we're gonna back the manager, we're gonna spend, or we're gonna do this and that, and it's never happened. So this time, why should it be any different?
Well, there's been a lot of talk about signings, hasn't there? There's been a talk, Julian Brandt, that's one that started. I don't know where that's come from over the last week or two. I think ever since 1 or 2 potential targets have gone elsewhere, now we're starting to come up with all these other ones. Isco's is one, Monchi, Hulk, Oscar, Costa, everyone, Costa on a free. I mean, Turkish, I'll give you the freedom of January. If I was to give you this, pull out the guys at Arsenal now in January and say, right, Turkish, this is down to you. What exactly would you do this second for January yourself? What, let's be realistic, but what would you do right now based on what you've seen and, being realistic?
It's exactly what I said before. The 2 midfielders is all you can. That's really.
It. Yeah.
Realistically, yeah. How can we do any more? We got players that are last 6 months or last 18 months. We've got players that are not worth too much. We've got, like, even with the Bellerin thing, there's no point in discussing Bellerin being sold. He will not be sold.
You don't think he's going in January?
There's no chance of that happening. No chance of it.
Mustafi going in January?
That can happen. Lamptey coming in. There's no chance of Lamptey coming Arsenal in January. No chance.
Right.
It should. There are things that should be happening. Bellerin should be on the way out. We should be looking at right backs like Lamptey or Max Aarons, but it's not going to happen next month. You know, realistically, next month, the most that really will happen is the 2 players coming in. But if you ask me realistically, are there going to be a Buendia and a Basuma or an Isco and whoever else Shaheen said? It's probably going to be more that type. You know, the paper over the cracks and the plasters all the time, because that's what I'm used to. So if that's what I'm used to, that's what I'm going to expect. It's not like it's 1 or 2 years it's happened. It's 9, 10 years it's happened.
What we expecting from Arteta then, though, when all these others come back, these seniors? Because this is going to be a tough decision for him, isn't it? Because originally it was made quite simple for him with the corona and all of this stuff, right? Now these guys are going to be returning. What do you think he's going to do?
He needs to be more open-minded, that's for sure. Obviously, I understand his way of thinking that you rely more on experience. That should be the case in any normal run club or any good club. You should rely on experience, but we're not a well-run club. We're not a good football club. The experience we have is a part of that problem. So relying on them doesn't exactly help the situation. It makes it a bigger mess, because the leaders you're relying on now are the players that have left our London rivals to come here and see out their London career, because that's all it is, an extra few years in London for them. So now we turn and our leaders are people like that, or Granit Xhaka, for example, and we might as well move on to it now.
Turkish, just before you move on to him, you said we need 2 midfielders in January. Can I add a good backup goalkeeper to that as well, man? Because
it's not a priority. It's not a priority.
It is if Leno gets injured, though.
If Leno gets injured, it's all over, man. We can have Ronaldo and Messi and
what's all over? What's all over?
Good point.
Well, it's all over anyway. It's all over.
It could get worse.
It's all over.
It could get worse. Rudigerson can get worse.
We're not going to be relegated. But when Arsenal are finishing 8th, when Arsenal are 15th, 13th, 14, 15 games in, it is all over.
No, I agree. But I would like to finish that if possible.
Nah, right now I understand what you're saying. We do need a backup keeper, but I think that's like maybe the eighth in the list backup keeper. We need about 5 first teamers before I even think about backups. And before I think about a backup goalkeeper, I want a good backup attacking player. I want a good backup midfielder for Partey or Basuma or Buendia, who I want to be the starting 3 come January. But, I understand what you're saying, but in essence, right now, it's not going to happen. Even if I say, we want that, it's not going to happen. We just bought Ronison in September or August or whenever it was.
Do you know what, though? I'll have to agree with Shaheen on this, and I think Lee would is probably as well, having seen a couple of his other interviews. As much as I agree with you, Turkish, in the sense of we need other players first and foremost, I do not like the idea of going into any game with Ronison in goal, because it just looks like
Ronison has cost us 1 game in the past 2 months.
He's hardly played. He's played 1 or 2.
Yeah, but how many games has Bellerin cost?
Yeah, I know. I agree with you.
Mustafi, Lacazette. How many games have all these people cost us for us now to put a backup goalkeeper ahead of these problems?
Because it's even worse now, because he can't even catch a ball. But
he needs to be improved on. But that highlights
25.
That highlights the problems. We sold Martinez to bring a 1.5 million goalkeeper in, but we danced about Thomas Partey.
Yeah.
Where was everyone talking about it then?
So come on, then let's go on to Xhaka then. You want to go on to Xhaka, so go on to Xhaka. We might as well go on to it.
Xhaka's comments kind of typify, like, I don't know, I wouldn't ask Lee as well, but it highlights a bigger problem to me, because Xhaka's let us down before many times, and people have questioned whether he's apologized about the captaincy and the F off to the fans and whatnot. He got a red card recently. Okay, he didn't apologize. Me personally, I don't want an apology because I'm not forgiving you. But he came back. He came back into the side. He scored a free kick. And on Instagram, he says, actions speak louder than words. And in an interview, he says, and I'll put it down here, he says, a lot of speaking after the red card. A lot of people start to speak again and again and again. He said, but I think I'll show my character. Doesn't that show the big problem at this club? Does he think a 90-minute game against Chelsea erases all of the 4 years he's been at this club and he's been underachieving? And he comes out smugly and says that with his chest. But none of the other players want to maybe tell him that's not the right thing to be saying. The manager doesn't want to come out. Because I can't lie to you, I'd expect Arteta to come out and apologize on his behalf for them comments.
Yeah.
It's face. What does he mean people are speaking?
You know what, Turkish, you know what I think of this is, you know, when you come out and say people talk and say a lot, you've given a reason for them to talk. You know, you've done something that is wrong for everybody to talk. You know, when Xhaka came in, everybody was like, oh, Xhaka is shit. You fucked up so many times. Xhaka is part of a group of players who's been at Arsenal for so long and they have achieved nothing except a few odd FA Cup here and there. And it needs to come to an end because, you know, Xhaka is not, Xhaka is not a bad player. He's not suited to Premier League or Arsenal. Yes, the German league type. And you know what he did against Leeds? Of course people are going to talk about that. You fucked up. You did something that cost the team, the game, and we expect what? For everybody to say no. And then you're absolutely right. I don't think fans will forget what Xhaka done with that, throwing the armband and all of that thing. And that will never go away. Until Xhaka is here, I don't think that thing will ever be sorted out with fans. And you know, that you're right. That is the mentality that some of these players, maybe a Bellerin and Xhaka, they think that one or two, we have one good performance and the slate is wiped clean. Now let's go. We're good. Look how we look for all you know how Sir Allardyce plays, right? If we go to West Brom, and Xhaka is getting battered up all over the pitch, then you're back to square one. You shouldn't open your mouth until you've gone in, I don't know, a 10-game run that you've smashed it in every game, and now yes, come and talk. Still, at the time, these things are not going to go away. And you know, you're 100% right, man. This guy, as I said, he's part of a group that has been at Arsenal for so long. They've achieved nothing, and they don't really have any relation. You know, you can't say Xhaka has got a tight relationship with fans. He doesn't. Bellerin doesn't.
Do you know what? You got away with it already. Like you know
what? He's not good enough. He's not good enough anyway. Look, he's had a decent game, but I do think, Turkish, I saw a lot of the tweets you put out, and Lee, I'd like to hear your thoughts on it as well. Yes, he looked better, but I think a lot of that was down to a lot of young energy around him.
This one frustrates me a lot,
No, go on.
There's no pressure in this club put on by any department. So it's up to us to apply pressure, Granit Xhaka, Shaheen said it will never leave, this whole captaincy and FA thing. He's already got away with that. He got away with that. We should have sold him in January to Hertha Berlin and let him go. He would never, ever be at a club the size and the stature of Arsenal again. Why do you think a year later he could talk with his chest out, smiling about people like to speak and speak again? He's taking the fucking piss because he's got away with shit already. Since he's been at this club 4th, 5th, 4th, 8th, 13th. But he has the cheek to stand up and say, my character will show. He has the cheek to stand up and say, people are speaking again. Why did he use again? Because for like between June and between August, all fans all of a sudden said, Xhaka's playing all right, you know. Xhaka's all right. No, Xhaka's not all right. Arteta just switched to a back three, which means the fullbacks averted Ceballos and Xhaka. Hence why there was a myth that Ceballos and Xhaka have improved. No, we diverted their attention to the fullbacks. They had to do off the ball work. It's easier not to be recognized for faults when you're not on the ball as much. But we as fans said, actually, they've improved a bit. To hell did they improve a bit? Because as soon as we go back to a 4-3-3, it's the same problems, the same players, and then the arrogance back again. no ownership, you know what? I would have respected Xhaka so much if he came out, because people will say agenda, you don't like the man. All I expect from our players is reply like this. Listen, we've let the fans down an awful lot, not only over the last few weeks, but over the last few years. And it's up to us to make sure that connection with the fans remains as positive as it can be, because we need them. And it's up to me to make sure I don't make those same mistakes that I've made in the past, and keep on trying my best and hardest. That's the sort of statement I expect from our players who have let us down. My guy moves like he just won the World Cup and the Champions League, and he's moved over here with all the experience in the world.
Turkish.
No, I agree 100% what you're saying. And even recently, I think a lot of it, as I was saying, was to do with the youngsters. They're pressing high from up top. They're making up for the legs and the energy that he doesn't have in midfield by doing what he's doing, and it's made him look better. Go on.
Am I correct in saying once you had a bit of exchange of message with Xhaka on Instagram? Is that right? I remember. Yeah. Is that right?
Yeah.
And you told him these things, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Did he respond?
He messaged me first, and then he deleted the message before I could see it. And the reason I know he messaged me is because on my lock screen it said Granit Xhaka wants to message you, and when I opened it, the message was gone, and it said allow or deny. Obviously, the message was gone. I messaged him back. I said, obviously, you said something. So what are you saying? It will stay between us. He didn't reply. He read a few messages after that. I don't disrespect players. I don't abuse players. I let my feelings known respectfully. That was a year ago now. But recently, when he got the red card, I messaged him again and I said, listen, Xhaka, someone needs to come out and speak. Someone needs to come out and lead. We all know there's problems at this club, but everyone's hiding. That's what I said. He read it within half an hour. And then 2 weeks later, he starts the game and then he says, actions speak louder than words.
There you go. Lee, you've sat there quietly listening to this. And obviously, we started this on an unusual positive. But obviously, something's riled Turkish up with Xhaka. And you know what? I remember actually seeing him say that and thinking to myself, it's a bit too soon for that, mate. And I agree with Turkish. What's your thoughts on that, Lee?
I think that, what Turkish is saying is all valiant points, and it's an interesting feel. But I think that whatever Xhaka does is, and this is my opinion of it. Whatever he does, he's doomed. If he'd have come out and said, "Oh, I'm sorry," and all that, like people have said, "Oh, I'll do it on the pitch," I felt that the best way to respond for it was to do what he done against Chelsea and put in a performance and play well. Then, obviously, does he come out and say nothing? Perhaps he shouldn't have come out and said nothing. Then, let your actions be your words. From that point of view. And the thing is, I think that we've got to, take it with Granit is he knows deep down the fans don't like him. He knows that. I've spoke to him about it. He knows that, the fans don't. He doesn't get on with the fans. Yeah, well, I sit next to him, don't I? At the Emirates with his family,
And no wonder you were sitting there quietly, Lee. Didn't want to upset him, did you?
Yeah.
So what did he say? I mean, this is exclusive. What's he saying?
Yeah. So where I sit, I've got he has 3 seats next to me. So if he's not playing, he comes down and sits there. Listen, he's a nice guy, he
said that he knows the fans don't like him. He's actually said that to you.
Yeah, he said that. You know what I mean?
He said, I know they don't like me, but
yeah, well, I don't think there's any you can't hide away from that fact. The day that happened that day, I can tell you that with the Crystal Palace thing, his mum and dad were standing next to me. Within a minute of him going down that tunnel, they was on the phone, and his dad said, "I've got to go," and he went, So so he does do that. But I have witnessed it every time someone comes and asks for a photo. He gives a photo out. He does all of that sort of stuff, and from that point of view, is and I get that. What I think that he's done wrong is that I felt he should have come out and apologised after a red card. I don't think anybody would have done anything wrong by just coming out and saying, "Look, I got it wrong." I don't think that it was as bad as the Pepe one. If I'll be honest, I didn't think it was as petulant. But at the end of the day, he still let the team down. I think that if we want to be talking facts here, if he hadn't got sent off that day, I think Arsenal would have won that game. So he needed to respond after that game, and I think that he did. I don't think he's got anywhere near the levels of what he'd done towards the end of last season, guys. I don't think that he has. I don't think that a lot of the players have, if I'll be honest. And but all he can do after a game is produce a performance like he did against Chelsea. What he's got to do is continue to back it up from there. Do I think that I agree with Shanine? I think that Granit Xhaka is a good player. I don't think he's suited to the Premier League. I don't think that his game is suited to the Premier League. I don't think he's got enough pace to get around the park and all of that, like, you know. But when he played against the Chelsea game, you know, you think he said, "Well, that's a great performance," but he's got to do that and that, if it had been me, I would have done it 5, 6, 7 games, and then would have come out and said, "Actions speak louder than words." Not after one game, and that's where I agree with Turkish. You know what I mean? He shouldn't have come out after one good game against Chelsea and go on about it, like, you know what I mean? But I do think that there are. Listen, Arsenal have always had their scapegoats of players, and I don't think whatever Granit Xhaka does, he's ever going to get the love of the Arsenal fans. And let's be honest about that, you know. He was getting a lot of stick, if you remember it, before that incident leading up to the Crystal Palace game. He was getting a lot of it, like, you know. Yeah. And I'm going to have to say that some of it, you know, genuinely it deserves.
Did you remember family as well? You remember that?
Say that again, sorry?
Did you remember before that he said he was getting some abuse on Instagram by his kids and his family and all these things? Do you remember? And that was the building up to what happened at Palace. No excuse, by the way, but that's what he said.
Yeah, like, you know, listen, he's getting abuse and all that. Listen, if you're a professional footballer, I don't care who you are. You know what I mean? Like, even if at any level, sometimes you're going to get stick. You know what I mean? And there's a difference between being criticised and if you're not playing well and getting it from your family. So if someone like Turkish wants to criticise Granit Xhaka, I think you're in the right to do that, as I am and whatever. And I think as a player, he knows that. But there are times when you've got to, you know, with the social media side of it and all that now, like, you've got to be a little bit more careful and a little bit more diplomatic what you're doing. You know, it is about performances, getting your performances right and going from there. Now, before this incident with the sending off, you know, Granit Xhaka wasn't playing well. Did he deserve to be in the team? I don't think so. And did he deserve to come back into the team after that incident? I don't think so. But he's walked straight back into the game against Chelsea. Now, that ain't his fault. That's down to the manager. And he needed to put in a performance, which is what he did. And he done that performance okay. But where my beef is with Granit Xhaka, and a lot with others, one like sunshine day doesn't make a summer. You know what I mean? You've got to consistently perform well. And I think from one performance against Chelsea, I don't think you should be coming out and giving it large after one performance. I think you need to do 4, 5, 6, 7 games before you can come out and do that. And I still feel that as a fan, it doesn't matter whether it be Granit Xhaka or Pepe or whoever it is. Even when I've played and all that, like, you know, if you've done something wrong and you've let players down or you've let the team down, once you've done that, there's nothing wrong. It doesn't make you weak. It doesn't make you anything. You're coming out and saying, "Look, I'm sorry, I got it wrong." And for that, I felt Granit Xhaka, to this day, should have still come out and turned around and said, "I was wrong for getting sent off against Burnley." He's never done that. Now, I question the club along those lines as well for this, because, you know, this is a club that's supposed to care about the fans, you know, and they should be saying, making these players accountable, and they're not. You're letting them carry on doing what they want to do, and you know, 2 weeks ago we see an incident with Pepe, and you know, and I don't think he's ever really recovered from that. And then we see someone like Granit Xhaka doing it. But the one thing that I have seen from it is that Pepe come out and said sorry. You know what I mean? But he hasn't got back straight into the side. You know what I mean? So there's a guy that's done everything right, and he's still not getting the chances that someone who's done it all wrong getting the chances. So, I think you have to come down to the manager as well, or the club, how they're dealing with the situation as well.
Very diplomatically put there, Lee. I'm sure Granit will still be sitting with you, but he's not going to be sitting anywhere near Turkish. Turkish ain't getting his messages. Turkish is not getting his messages read or responded to. Meanwhile, Lee has got Granit Xhaka and family sitting next to him, and that's something you need to be learning about. Turkish, a little bit more diplomacy. But listen, guys. Thanks for the breakdown on that as well. Can we have a look at a few of these things on chat? Because I've saw some funny things as well. I mean, someone reckons. I just
want to say again, Alexander, thank you very much for your donation.
Yeah, clap off that again.
Eddie, Cedric, Kolasinac, Ozil, Chambers, Socrates all need to go. We need players who have the hunger and passion to win. Guys, look, if you're new here, please hit the like button, subscribe to our channel. Thank you for giving us your time. Subscribe to Turkish LDN. Follow Lee on Twitter. And I will be very, very surprised if Granit Xhaka watches the show. But Granit, if you're watching, don't be fooled by Turkish and his beard and the way he comes across. He's a nice guy. He's not going to tell you to fuck off or anything like that. Sometimes it's good to have a conversation with fans. And Turkish, I don't think you would be nasty to him or anything like that.
I'm not giving any guarantees on that, right? So that's your word coming from there, man. It's nothing to do with me.
I've had kebabs with Turkish, and I know he's a nice guy.
Some people don't like bluntness, and I'm very blunt. I don't think I'm rude, but people mistake bluntness.
It would be good for him to speak to fans. Maybe he's got this view in his mind that fans don't like him.
Should I tell you what? Hand on heart, yeah? Hand on heart. Thinking now, the first thing I'd probably say to him is like, why haven't you worked on your right foot? Now, to me, that's not rude. But to him, he's going to probably feel like that's a
that. Can you see that?
Oh, well, look at his mate. Look at mates. Oh, no.
Lee, you're making me sick, mate.
Now you know when Turkish was going in hard, Lee's all there. Oh no, he's all right, really. He's all right. Oh, no, he's a lovely man. And I speak to his mum, his dad. Oh, it was terrible abuse he was getting that day. Oh, no, I felt really bad for him. Fucking hell. Yeah. Anyway, some of these comments I want to look at. There's some strange ones here.
Bring that comment up. Gazidi's hosting the show. Bring that.
Yeah. I've had that. Then I've had. You could piss off as well, Turkish wire, right? Yeah. I've had this one. Yeah, Gazidis is hosting the show. Xhaka Hislop brought me here. How the hell did that even start to happen? I've had someone saying, "Oh, I look like Lee Hamilton." I don't know, Lewis Hamilton. I don't know how. Is my lighting off or something? I don't know what's going on there. Lev, please go on another losing run. That's Ben Davies, you Spurs fan. We've had. Did you have a super chat up as well? You've had that one, haven't you, Sheen? Yeah, let's just get some mad stuff in the Turkish. Who's the bigger villain, Kroenke, Ozil, or Rivaldo? Had that one there.
Rivaldo's the original villain, but Kroenke is the top villain. Ozil's not even a villain. Ozil was just a villain.
South London's finest. Lee kisses that photo before he goes to bed. Now we've started a new hashtag. Lee out.
That's
look at this. Look at this one. Lev and Lee, half brother.
Merchandise is out soon, people. Lee out. Buy it. Description.
What half are you talking about? Is it up here somewhere? Like, I mean, what is this? Lev looks like Roberto Carlos. I've never had so many random ones.
I'll take that one.
I'll take Roberto Carlos, all day long. But between Ivan Gazidis and Roberto Carlos, this is ridiculous. Turkish, I want to ask you, when we in a losing streak, the captain is Aubameyang. Does Aubameyang come out and say apologies to fans about bad results instead? Youngster came out and said it. Well, that's a good point, actually.
Aubameyang. We all knew. Let's be honest. We all knew Oba's the type of captain that when he's performing well, he leads by example. But in reality, he's not vocal. He's not the leader, the archetypal leader in the dressing room. The Adams, the Roy Keane. He's not that. So now when he's coming through a tough time and bad run of form, I expect him as the captain to come out and be honest with us. Same way I said to Xhaka, someone needs to speak. That someone should be Aubameyang. But when I'm seeing Maitland-Niles or Joe Willock come out for press conferences, instead of the Obers or the experienced players, that again shows problems at the club. you know, and hopefully one day, sooner or later, Kieran Tierney does have that captain's armband. Hopefully, because he's the only hope we have in terms of being the next hope of captain. He's the only one.
I agree with that. Judy Hops, £5 donation. Thank you for that, and thanks for your support. Lee, blink twice if Xhaka is off camera with a gun to your head. Joking aside, get well soon. All the Arsenal boys who tested positive. I was wondering where Lee was getting his tickets for these games. It's all starting to make sense now. Next thing I'm going to see is an Albanian flag behind him. And that's when you know it's all over. Guys, if you haven't already, please hit the like buttons. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. If you're on your Facebook groups, social, Gunner Social or Arsenal Lounge Facebook group, and you haven't subscribed, please do. We're always taking the piss out of ourselves and others. You know, we don't take ourselves too seriously, but we do love our football. Satvir Panazar, $1.99. Thanks again for your donation. Looks like Gazidis sounds like AFTV Mo. Jesus Christ, come on, guys. What is going on here? Turkish with a steady surgeon hand again. Man is savage. There you go. Best show yet. Too funny. Thanks, Duke T. Guys, I mean, let's just move it on because we're nearly up to an hour and we've got loads of things to do. Game coming up. I think, was it West Brom next?
Yeah, West Brom away.
Yeah.
So, West Brom away, guys. What is going to happen? Is he going to keep the same team and do we continue? And Flo Zanelli's just snuck in saying Daniel Levy. I don't know why he said that by High Flow. What's going on, West Brom, guys?
Considering they just got banged by Leeds and considering we are on a 2-game winning streak, and also considering Big Sam is there, I'm going to go for a 2-1 Arsenal win.
Okay. Wow. You've heard it here first. Turkish has been positive. He's gone for a 2-1 win. Lee, West Brom.
Yeah,
what's
I
your
think,
thoughts?
do you know what would be interesting on that is what's going to happen with Lacazette, because I thought he was really unlucky to be left out. He came on yesterday, showed great attitude with a goal, and a fantastic finish, by the way. It was a fantastic finish. So it'd be interesting what I don't think that Martinelli and Saka should be left out. Maybe one of them might be just because they've got a couple of little knocks or something. But for me, I think that if Saka and Martinelli play up top with either Aubameyang or Lacazette, I can see us getting a win and a 1-0, 2-0 win. I really do. I think that we're defensively looking a lot better, and I fancy us to win this game. You know, like forget about Big Sam. You know what I mean? They're not. He shouldn't even be in the job, as far as I'm concerned. Should never have got rid of their manager. And hopefully, because of that decision, that will bite them on the old bum. Because I've never had nothing against West Brom in the past, but I certainly have now. It's not the first time they've been a bit out of order with their managing situation. So I think that they deserve what's going to come to them, and that's an Arsenal win.
Wow. Guys, I don't know what to do with myself today. I'm on a podcast with 2 back-to-back wins behind me, and now we're talking about winning the next game. That would be 3. I'm losing my shit here. Shaheen, can I rely on you to ruin shit for me? Go ahead.
No, I'm afraid I won't ruin it for you. And I agree with the 2 guys. I think he needs to start Lacazette up front because I think Lacazette gives us more physicality up front. He can hold the ball up a little bit. He's been on a great run of form as well. Scored in the last 3 games, I think, that he's played. So maybe put Aubameyang on the left and keep Lacazette up top. And I'm going to go for a 2-1 Arsenal win as well.
2-1 Arsenal, yeah? So everyone's going for the win. I'm going to go back to my winning ways and go for a win as well. I will say 2-1. Same, I think, it's Turkish and Shaheen. Lee's suggesting his best mate, Xhaka, is going to make sure they don't concede. So, guys, listen, it's nearly an hour. Xhaka shirt coming for Lee. We're going to be auctioning a Xhaka signed shirt next week, courtesy of Lee as well. So, guys, it's been a pleasure. A lot of you guys in the chat have made me laugh today. I've gone from Gazidis to Daniel Levy to Lewis Hamilton, all in one sentence. I don't know how that happens. Guys, honestly, hope you're enjoying your Christmas break. I really do hope the wins continue and we have a great New Year's. Guys, is there anything? There was an important question here for Turkish I was trying to find before we left, but I've lost it at the moment. It was something to do with snog, marry, avoid, and and it had Gazidis in it, so I can't find it. So you're lucky. So, guys, anything you want to leave us with before we leave everybody else? No? Okay, then. Great. Thanks for that.
I'll go on, guys, this channel started around 3 months ago. It's grown
crazy.
Really, like me and Lev, we both are very, very grateful for everybody that has given us their time, supported, subscribed, super chatted, taken part. And especially, I just want to wish everybody a new year, a COVID-free new year. I want to thank Turkish and Lee Judges for the past 2 months for helping us building up this show. This show has become more or less like a flagship show. Real Talk podcast, which is the only Real Talk podcast. And just thank you to both of you rather. And we hope to spend some more time together in the year. And just again, thank you for your support and Happy New Year to everybody and all your families.
Yeah,
Happy New Year to everybody.
I second that. And there's, for some of the guys, and I know Lee and Turkish and all you guys, I promised you there would be a picture taking the piss out of myself. I haven't had a chance to do it yet, but someone did send me this the other day, which is me as Austin Powers, Dr. Evil. If you can see that. That's me there, guys. So that's coming soon. I'll send that out to you guys next week. So on that happy note, Happy New Year to all of you guys. Please keep liking and subscribing and sharing. And hopefully we'll come back with a new show with further wins. So that's it for me. I'm Levanjo. That's Shaheen, and the rest of these boys here. I'm out of here. Fellow loungers, peace. Have a good evening.
Take care.